we're gonna everyone get some food. Okay. Today we are reacting to This Was Horrifying. Los Pollos and Dad react to the internet's deadliest video.
Before we get to today's video, I just want to say, everyone who subscribed, we hit 600K.
Get some
We actually
snacks.
hit 611,000. So
Again, we're talking about the Epstein shit.
About the,
Cut that shit up.
Shout out to Nick Crowley. He does extensive research on these videos. I think he actually uncovered that Epstein thing, by the way. I don't think that was even known.
I'm gonna tell you, man. This guy, man, next level.
Oh, Bams is 14 years old, by the way.
What I said a few moments ago. This stuff is, you know, what I've seen of him is just extremely. These things are very disturbing.
Yeah. By the way, Chad, if you're watching at home, lock your doors, lock your doors, lock your doors.
Yeah,
run.
Lo, stop scaring me. Stop scaring me, Los.
Check the windows, check the locks. Go. Lock your bedroom door too.
Los is scaring me.
I love how
Oh shit.
That's gonna protect us. Like,
Los.
dude,
Always
if someone's
giving me-
coming in to get you, bro.
Always getting me scared and shit, Los.
Your bedroom door lock's not doing shit.
Unless you have some sort of special.
Don't be
contraption,
scared. Okay,
A little
don't be
bit of
scared.
shoulder pressure. That door's coming off the fucking hinges.
But it makes us feel safe.
Oh, Wad. I love
How about
Wad.
this one? You want to feel safe? How about
Such a
people
great
hear
guy.
something and they
Great
put their covers
character.
over their head? Wait a minute, what?
Yeah, no,
How about-
that's gonna help.
How about this? How about hiding under your bed? That's, you know, it's the first place they look.
Yo.
It appeared totally innocent. In a small room somewhere in the Kohistan region of Pakistan, 4 women sat on the floor, each clapping their hands and singing a traditional Kohistani song.
Okay.
With them,
Traditional.
I don't know where that country is, so automatically I'm even more scared now.
It's Pakistan.
were 2 men,
Pakistan?
one seen dancing beside them,
Okay.
and another seen recording the moment on a grainy video
Alright,
taken on a
a little
sweet cell
foreign.
phone.
It's fine.
The footage captured the impromptu after-party of a wedding that the women and men had
Interesting.
separately attended earlier that day, an event that transpired sometime in May 2010. Shortly after this recording ended, the group dispersed, and each person returned to their respective homes, where the celebration eventually became a distant memory, their lives continuing on as if it had never even happened. At least for a time. Approximately 2 years later, the whereabouts and safety of every individual
Were they
shown in
human
this video
trafficked?
would be called into question, following a disturbing admission from a
Oh,
Kohistani
shit.
local. An admission that began a multi-year search for answers to a conspiracy
Oh my
traced
God.
back.
How am I supposed to stop this? They might be getting
To the very
trafficked.
moment this recording
Oh
began.
God.
A moment that may have ultimately sealed the fate of 9 individuals in what has since become known as the 2012 Kohistan video incident.
Love Roblox? Earn
I do
Roblox
like
digital
Roblox
gift
a lot,
cards with
actually.
Microsoft Rewards. Sign up for Microsoft Rewards.
I really do like Roblox.
Basically, everybody in that video is dead. Wow.
I'd be willing to bet that many of you have a massive to-do list that only seems to be growing by the day. A primary using being let them both fit legit. Leave them all. Check that up.
Bro, why is my chat's pumping right now? Oh shit. Nah, I'm kidding. That's Los's chat. I'm not even gonna take credit for Los's
A
chat.
press conference was held in the city of Abbottabad, Pakistan. The speaker, a man named Afzal Kohistani, made the long trek from his home in Kohistan, high in the mountains, to spread the word of a horrific incident that had occurred in the previous days. And he didn't just have a story to tell, but he also had a video to
Holy
share.
fast chat, right? Like one day I'll have that chat taken. Maybe.
With him was that grainy cell phone recording taken 2 years earlier, showing the group of 4 women and 2 men dancing after a local wedding ceremony. And while the footage itself was far from alarming, it was the context that Afzal gave it that would eventually capture the world's attention. As according to the man, each of the women shown within this video had suffered a terrible fate, and it was all due to the existence of the footage itself.
Okay.
For years, the video had been lost.
Oh,
on
so
women's
maybe
phones,
maybe
buried in
they
media, and destined to be seen only
they
after
filmed
months.
where they weren't
The
supposed to
fate had different
film.
plans. As for
Okay.
unknown reasons, in May of 2012,
I think that's
that
obvious.
footage leaked online. There it went unnoticed by most
2012,
of the
I
world, as in all
was
honesty, the video itself
4
just
years
isn't that
old.
interesting. But in Kohistan, where it was filmed, it went completely viral. It was shared from villager to villager until practically the entire region had seen it, with it becoming a point of discussion for most. As for locals of that area, this video was far from normal. In fact, for many, it actually depicted evidence of a crime.
What?
Kohistan is a region bound by its traditions. For centuries, they've tried to preserve their culture and way of life. So much so that any breaches of said traditions are taken so seriously that they're viewed as legal matters. And in this footage, the woman could be seen breaking.
Dude, with all due respect, I have to just jump in here. With all due respect, and I get it. There's a lot of people.
Copied content.
Oh, the United
I
States,
can't
this,
get
that, and the other.
gifts
I understand.
anymore?
Bro.
Oh,
You have
shit.
no idea what's going on in these other countries, dude. And I'm just telling you, man, for as much as you want to shit on
What are
this
you
and that,
watching?
I'm telling you, man, like, something, you're watching something that these women did. What you're seeing right now, this caused their death. Think about that for a second, man. That's
Right?
insanity.
Wad's onto something.
Celebrating or
Yes.
dancing or something.
Maybe
Wad's on. Okay, I can't even get gifts on
That's-
TikTok,
Oh,
but
they're
fuck
showing
it.
hair or something,
This
like
is
something
what I'm.
weird
This
happened.
is what I'm trying to tell you.
I don't need gifts.
You know. Oh my God.
Several of them.
Like they're just hanging out.
For starters, women in Kohistan are not allowed to congregate with men from outside of their families. Doing so is blatantly illegal, and in this video, the women and men have no relation. On top of that, they're also from different villages, which is another infraction. But perhaps the biggest crime committed in this clip was that the women were clapping and singing in the presence of these men, despite the area having strict rules against dancing with members of the opposite sex.
Bro, I honestly.
Oh,
I
right. They're strict on that, aren't they?
Relative
Okay.
is illegal.
I honestly didn't know any of this was going to happen.
Right, 'cause the
That was
religion.
the point that I was trying to make. So, oh my
Are
God.
you fucking serious,
Yeah,
bro?
yeah, and you're fucking dead. Yeah.
As a result, when this footage was passed around, it was actually viewed as evidence of crimes committed against Kohistani tradition, and it was taken very seriously.
No shit.
Now, despite being part of Pakistan and falling under its laws, Kohistan is unique in the sense that geographically, it's next to impossible to effectively govern. It's nestled in the intersection of 3 major mountain ranges, making accessing it very difficult, and enforcing the country's laws next to impossible, as the area practically lives in its own isolation. Instead, the region is composed of largely self-governing villages, who have their own sets of rules that they play by. And when a crime is alleged, they'll hold something called a jirga, which is
Dude, basically what they're doing is they have they have a group of these elders that get together and make these decisions. So you got these women that were sitting there clapping their hands. All these fucking characters get together and go, "Yeah, we need to put them to death because they were with strange men. They're singing and dancing in front of men. They're gathering. They're doing whatever else. Bro, get the fuck out of here.
What kind of insecure shit is this, dude? I'm not
Dude,
gonna.
it's archaic. What do you mean?
Whoa.
Dude, so because these
This
women,
goes back
What just
centuries.
happened, bro?
This is archaic.
I don't want
and
this.
you think, wait a minute, how could this possibly... Bro, this is happening. This is happening in 2026.
and bro,
Yeah.
This is happening now.
This is the thing.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
it's
wanna
not on
go
the
all
media.
hustle culture.
See, Wad's
Dude,
on
get the
something.
fuck
It's
out of
not
here.
on the
Look,
media,
bro,
though.
Think about this,
That's the
bro.
big problem.
She was
It's not
where
on the
she was
media,
born.
so no one
She
knows.
just got unlucky where she was born. She
Listen,
got unlucky.
Yeah.
And now these random dudes get to decide, yeah, no, she's gonna die now because she was celebrating a wet dude. This is not
This is
humane.
what's-
This is not humane.
It's not
What's
humane.
going on?
See, Los is onto something. It's not.
this is what I'm saying. And that's why you get these numbskull that all they want to do is bitch, moan, and complain.
You're
about it.
dehumanizing.
And it makes me laugh because...
Like,
if
let
any
some
of these
people celebrate.
went to any of these other
No hard
places, they would
feelings.
see exactly what's going on.
It's crazy, bro.
It's essentially a tribal council comprised of village elders who determine if the party or
Yeah, no,
party
I'm not speaking about religion, bro. This is not religion. This is psychotic. What this is.
Oh, this
You can't. It's illegal. And you kill them.
Yeah, dude, this
these are
like I
guilty
said, it's
and
cultural,
what their
man.
punishment should be. And oftentimes, these punishments will be most harsh when the crimes committed go against their tradition. And this video
Mason
eventually
welcome.
did
Yeah, I
just
saw
that.
Mason, bro.
And so soon after its release,
I saw
a video
Mason
was
like the
held,
live.
and discussions about what should be done to these women began. The story that Afzal was sharing so far was one that wouldn't have been shocking to many, as this had just become protocol for villages like Kohistan. But what was shocking was the punishment that these women allegedly received.
I dare you to let me build you a completely free e-commerce store preloaded with 20
Can this
handpicked
guy,
products
like,
that are trending all over the world.
Like, fuck off, dude. Fuck. Oh my god.
According to Afzal, once the footage was made public, all 4 of the women shown within the video, along
don't
with
know.
one other girl who wasn't
Why is there
pictured but
ads?
had
I don't
allegedly
know.
helped coordinate this gathering, had been rounded up and thrown inside a small room about the size of a closet that served as a makeshift prison, and inside, each day was misery. Every morning, the door would be opened and each woman would be doused with boiling water, causing their skin to bubble and blister.
Yeah, I can see
At night,
chat,
the door
y'all.
would open again.
I can
and this
see
time,
chat.
The women would be covered in burning hot embers and coal from the day's fire. They were tortured in unimaginable ways.
Understand, this is gonna be in a
when at 2 in the
YouTube
morning,
video,
the jury
okay?
gave
So I
the
have to be
final
very
verdict
professional.
that all of the women should be
Right?
executed. The door opened one final time that morning at 2 a.m., and one by one, the women were woken up, restrained, and their throats were cut. This was an appalling claim by Afzal. If true, what they did to these women was not only outrageously extreme considering the crime, but also very illegal, as Jurgas didn't have the right to sentence someone
Riley,
to death.
I love you,
And
Tay.
because of this,
I
those
love you
watching
so
the press
much.
conference were left horrified.
Thank you, bro.
Honor killings aren't necessarily a new thing in Pakistan, especially in remote villages. But honor kill.
Around 1,000 women are killed in the name of honor.
Yeah, honor killings.
What?
You disgraced your family, your father. You did whatever. You showed your ankle, whatever.
Like, first it was period products completely. Way over the, like, tax, like, way over the price, right? You know, very expensive. And now they're killing women in the name of honor. God damn it, dude. We failed.
The case
Sorry,
may
my bad.
be,
Nice.
and then they execute you. This is
Piece of fucking shit, bro.
this is totally insane. But again,
Yeah,
Piece of fucking
Killings
shit.
aren't necessarily.
it's
a new thing in
totally
Pakistan,
insane. See,
especially in
Wad's
remote
onto something.
villages.
It's
But this
totally
level of
insane.
sadism was unimaginable, and all for a
Totally.
blatantly harmless gathering. And yet, Afzal claims that not only had no one in Kohistan opposed the Jurga's shocking decision, but even the family members of these women supported it. And they supported it so much so that they were the ones who carried out the torture and the eventual killings. Their fathers, uncles, brothers all partook in scalding them with water, burning them with embers, and cutting their throats, and no one tried to stop it, except for Afzal. He had caught wind of the girls' torture while it was happening, and actively tried to intervene by alerting Kohistani journalists, though when this failed and they went through with the executions, he left the region to alert the government of Pakistan and the rest of the world to the atrocity that had happened in Kohistan. But for Afzal, this wasn't just about avenging the
Bro,
deaths
this
of his
guy-
girls.
Yo,
He
that
saw
guy
them
has
as a very
strong
important
ass
reason for
face
speaking out.
bones. Oh hell no.
As shown in this footage, were Afzal's 2 brothers, whose involvement
Bro,
he
these guys
claimed
kinda
had
mock,
also
but,
led to
like,
them
they're probably
receiving
pieces
death
of shit.
sentences, with both brothers going into hiding in order to avoid being killed.
Oh shit, so they're valid
This
actually.
press
They're not
conference
pieces
was
of shit.
essentially Afzal's way of trying to save his brothers, as he knew that they could be found and killed at any moment, spurring Afzal to act, even at the risk of his own safety, as locals had caught wind of his previous attempts to speak with journalists, and in response, that same Jurgar that had sentenced these women to death had sent an angry mob of 40 to 50 men to Afzal's home in order to silence him, likely not wanting news of their illegal sentencing to leave the region.
What the
And after giving this
fuck?
speech, Afzal knew that
Bro, this is like fucking mob shit.
what's so interesting though, what you just said, and this is what's so crazy when you think about the traditional mafia, the Italian Sicilian mafia. if a rule is broken, if something happens, a violation, whatever, it's normally somebody that you're pretty close to. That's the one that's going to kill you. It's not some, it's usually...
Okay,
Wad
knows this because he is a part of the mafia.
Somewhere,
And this is something that
person
needs
you
to be
least
addressed,
suspect,
okay?
And then they're the ones that carry it out.
Wad
This is
knows this
exactly-
information because he is a part of the mafia.
Their own family. These girls, their own family. Their brothers, the fathers, the uncles. They're the ones that tortured and killed them. Their own family. The men. The men. Oh, my God.
Listen to him. He's wise.
The group was only going to become more angry. Based on Afzal's testimony, the existence of this video...
Guys, I shouldn't have to say this, but please stop getting toxic in the comments.
GG, my guy. Those people in the TikTok chats, gay
different
as
people's
fuck.
religions.
Okay.
This should not be the subject of what we're even saying right now. We're talking about specific shit right here. Talking about, like shitting on people's... Stop, man. Stop.
Video had caused the torture and deaths of 5 women, dead at the hands of a radical Jirga and the victim's own family, who were now coming after Afzal and his 2 brothers. As if this footage had just been kept on that man's phone, no one would have even known that this meeting had ever took place, and therefore none of this would be happening. It's an almost fantastical story, which begs the question, was any of it actually true?
These can be used in the marketplace to purchase things like Riot gift cards, Steam vouchers, or even just gaming gear in general. It's a free program that...
Thank you.
Women in Pakistan's Kohistan who were allegedly singing and dancing with men at a wedding party were killed after a tribal Jirga committee of elders ordered their execution.
Afzal's story immediately made the front page news in Pakistan, but it wasn't without its controversy. At the end of the day, a story is all it was. He had no semblance of proof to back up his claims. In fact, Afzal himself never actually witnessed the crimes that he spoke of. He had simply been told about them by others who had, leaving the public perception to his story mixed. Within hours of his press conference, Maulana Javeed, the leader of the Jirga that Afzal was trying to expose, came forward to publicly disavow the allegations, saying that Afzal had made up this entire story in an attempt to get political asylum to...
Okay, then where were the girls?
Yeah.
See, this is the thing too, though. But here's the other part of this too. With the way this is the way this whole thing works, right?
Bro.
Another big part of this is they'll actively lie.
Los, baby.
They're not gonna. You would think like, hey, this is what we do. We're admitting it. This is who we are. This is what we do. No, they understand how fucking insane this shit is, and that's why when confronted with it, oh no, we would never do anything like that. We totally disavow it.
Yeah.
Bro, you're full of shit. You kill these women because they were clapping their fucking hands.
So where are the women then?
Exactly.
Just where are all the women?
Exactly.
Where are the women?
the United States for both him and his brothers, and that the women in this video were
fair
completely
point,
fine,
Los.
living their lives as normal in Kohistan.
Personally,
Both
I know
sides
Los.
made their claims, but
very
both sides
logical,
offered no evidence,
very smart,
turning the
very
story into a
intelligent.
confusing case of he said, they said. Luckily though, the government of Pakistan had the perfect idea to get to the bottom of it, and so they reached out to Maulana Javeed and told him that if the girls were alive like he claimed, then he must bring them to the courtroom in Abbottabad as proof. It was a great idea, in theory, but ultimately the Jirga hit back on this, claiming that it would be dishonorable for these women to appear in court, as women in Kohistan aren't even meant to leave their homes under most circumstances,
Right.
let alone travel that far and be shown in a public forum.
आपने उनमें से उनको फिर क्यों कल सुप्रीम कोर्ट में नहीं पेश कर रहे हैं?
वो तो हमारे क्योंकि रिवायात ये तारीख में कभी इस तरह के कोई वाक़या नहीं हुआ है कि कोहिस्तानी रिवायात में लड़कियों को अदालत में कचहरियों में पेश करना, ये तो वो मजबूरी है।
ये बताइए वो खवातीन जिंदा हैं या मर गई?
वो तो हमारे इल्म में जिंदा है।
Kohistan is one of the most socially conservative areas on the planet. It is a deeply patriarchal society, with women having severe
Does he
restrictions
know
on
something
all
we
aspects
don't?
of their lives, especially when it comes to social engagement, making this the perfect out for the Jirga. And so the government came up with a different solution. If the women couldn't travel to the
Pakistan's
courtroom,
pretty
then
big,
they would
eh?
travel to them. And so they quickly got together a group of investigators and sent them up
Like,
into
that's
the
some, like,
mountains to meet the
professional,
girls
like,
there
shit they're doing
themselves, and hopefully confirm that they were in fact still alive. On June 6, 2012, a helicopter carrying this newly formed investigative team landed in the village of Gadar, where the women resided. Though they quickly realized that something was wrong, the village was practically deserted, and when they asked one of the few remaining locals where everyone was, they were told that most villagers had left the area due to the seasonal weather, including the women they were looking for, who lived spread out and even higher into the mountains. And to find just 2 of them would require a grueling 4-hour hike. It was certainly suspicious to some degree, but nevertheless, the team proceeded on that long walk until they happened upon the first woman, Amina. The woman before them appeared to have the same facial features, and was even wearing the same exact outfit that Amina wore in the video. On top of this, the other locals they spoke with would go on to confirm that she was the Amina they were looking for. Though proving this for certain was impossible, as the only information the investigators had to go off of was her name and screenshots from this recording, and so all they could do was document their findings and go on to meet the next girl, Shaheen. Shaheen's story is different from the others, as she was never actually shown in the footage. Rather, she was Amina's sister, whom Afzal claimed helped facilitate the illegal gathering that fateful night, and was therefore killed alongside the others for her involvement. With the most disturbing part being the fact that she was just 12 years old. But that was Afzal's story, and here, standing before the investigators, was a girl who appeared to be the same age, claiming to be Shaheen, as did her parents and all the other villagers they spoke with. Though given that her face never even appeared in the video, it was also impossible to verify this. After meeting Shaheen, the group was informed that the remaining women lived even further away, and reaching them before sundown wouldn't be possible, forcing the team to return to Abbottabad, having only met 2 of the girls. But so far, their findings were extremely promising. Less than 2 weeks later, on June 16th, the team would once again visit Kohistan, this time armed with cameras to document their findings. There, they would meet 2 more of the women, Serene Jan and Begum Jan. Much like the first 2 women, Serene Jan seemed to be a match, with her family and neighbors attesting to her identity, though it was noted that she was incredibly nervous and refused to speak unless her parents allowed her to, which was true also for Begum Jan, whose meeting was actually captured on camera.
Is there a gun behind this camera?
It was evident how nervous she was. She could hardly even force a smile, and didn't speak a single word. But despite this, everyone reassured the investigators that this was Begum Jan, and given how isolated the lives of Kohistani women are, perhaps her nerves were understandable. This left only the 5th alleged victim,
Answer yourself, buddy.
Baziga,
Okay.
though she was nowhere to be seen that day, as she had supposedly fallen ill and was unable to come down from her home, which was even more remote than the team had gone thus far. But for the investigators, they had already all but confirmed that 4 of the women who Afzal claimed to have been murdered were still very much alive, with there being no evidence whatsoever that any executions had taken place, leaving the team with no real reason to believe any of his story. And so, days after their second trip to Kohistan,
that will happen. Alright.
the news would break.
Human rights activist Farzana Bari, who was accompanying the team sent to bring the Kohistani girls to the Supreme Court, says there is evidence that all the girls are alive.
The Kohistan video case was closed.
Wait, something doesn't... Why would this guy make that up? What does he gain from it? Because you always got to think, okay, what's the angle of... Okay, what could he gain? What would you gain from saying that these women are getting tortured and killed?
I don't think he's lying.
Me neither.
I don't think he's lying. Something is...
Because why would you do
this?
this?
Not
exactly.
Open and closed case, you know. No, something's happening here, dude. Something's happening here.
It was a swift end to such an alarming story, as after just a few weeks, in the eyes of the public and the government, the stories told about this video were deemed to be lies.
Is that
and
what you think?
Afzal was the liar. But not everyone was so quick to agree with this conclusion.
Why is Los' voice not sped up?
There were obvious flaws in this fact-finding mission, the most glaring of which being that all the investigators had to go off of were blurry screenshots and some names. In fact, Dr. Fazarna Bari, one of the investigators sent to Kohistan who actually met with these women, would later go on to publicly state that she was unsatisfied with their findings, as though the women they met looked similar to those in the video.
The one girl there, that they were kind of forcing her to smile, and she couldn't bring herself to smile. She couldn't bring herself to smile because she's not the person. She's an imposter. They got these women that look like those women to step in. And here's my other question: why would the one woman? Why did she have the same exact clothes on? You don't think the same? You don't think that's
yeah? He's not capping with that.
Okay. And then one of the girls was so sick that they couldn't even.
So maybe
her.
they couldn't find somebody.
And they're putting fake.
They're like, oh, you know what?
Fake
they'll be cool
girls
with 4
like
out of 5
on here.
They'll be cool with that.
For the media.
And this one girl who can't bring herself
Don't believe
to smile
everything you see.
Because she knows, man. She knows. This is bull. It's total bullshit.
They weren't able to conclusively prove that they were who they claimed to be, just given the resources available to them. But if these weren't the women in question, then who were they? Why were they pretending to be them? And why was the entire village lying about it? Well, this spread the conspiracy theory that the women the investigators met with were merely actors, coerced into pretending to be these women as part of a cover-up to disprove Afzal's story. A cover-up that had to be so massive
Why are you
that the entire village was in on it.
Everybody's in on it.
It seems unlikely, but there was a vocal minority in Pakistan that truly
Might as well
believed
put my
this,
face up in there
including
too, baby.
Afzal himself, as in his mind he was certain that those women had been killed, and that he and his brothers were next. And so, with a small group of supporters by his side, Afzal vowed to continue his push for justice.
See, now what they have to do, just like the mob, now they have to whack these guys out to keep them quiet. They got to get rid of this guy and his 2 brothers. They got to whack them all out to keep them all quiet, so to shut them up. That's what's going on.
At the start of 2013, he would go to the courtroom in Abbottabad and file a motion to have the Kohistan video case reopened. A decision that had sudden and direct consequences.
Here we go.
Days after Afzal's court filing, he received a devastating phone call that his brothers had been gunned down and murdered.
Dude, this is like mob shit. This is exactly like mob shit. They're quiet. They're keeping people quiet by killing them.
In cold blood, but not the ones you might expect. Afzal was one of 6 siblings, and at this point, 2 of his brothers were still in hiding, living their lives in a secret location. But the other 3, Sherwali, Shah Faisal, and Rafuddin, were living their lives as usual, believing that they were safe as they had no involvement in this fight whatsoever, though they were sadly mistaken. And on January 4th,
I'm saying they mobbed,
while walking to their local mosque in Kohistan, all 3 were ambushed by a group of gunmen and met with a barrage of gunfire.
I didn't even know that.
Seconds later, all 3 were dead.
Dude,
the murders were...
They killed the 3 brothers that had nothing to do with it. This is like mafiosa shit. This is like mafiosa. This is insane.
Shocking, and made even more so when the culprits were revealed as members of the slain woman's family, as well as the jirga that had called for their execution. And their motive was simple. This was revenge against Afzal for sharing his story, and for filing that application just days prior. And as if the group's message wasn't clear enough, they would then surround Afzal's home and fire over 1,000 bullets into the structure. Luckily, Afzal had already moved to a secret location out of fear of this very moment, but the incident left him forever shaken and forever devastated. As in trying to save 2 of his brothers, his fight had now cost him 3. But there was at least one minuscule silver lining, with that being that the jirga and the woman's family had now proven themselves to be murderous. But this didn't necessarily prove that they were actually the ones who killed these women. That was still just a theory.
Bro, you can't even tell who they are in this video, bro.
You, just you, building your app on base 44. Describe it.
No, but
it's so grainy.
No,
but this didn't necessarily prove that they were...
Here's the other problem.
Look at this, bro.
Here's the other issue we have now. The people who were exposing this shit, they're killing them one by one. So obviously something. If this was all on the up and up, why are you shooting 1,000 bullets into the guy's house and he's already gone?
Actually the ones who killed these women. That was still just a theory, and a far-out theory at that. I mean, in the eyes of the Pakistan government, these women couldn't have been killed, as their investigators had literally met face-to-face with 4 of them.
Somebody in Los's chat said, bro, imagine a Pakistani shack getting imagine a Pakistani shack taking 1,000 bullets, bro. That shit's
couldn't have been
gone.
killed, as their investigators
Oh my
had literally met face to face with 4 of them. This was the main challenge that Reuters journalist Catherine Harold ran into after picking up the case. She had been reporting on Pakistani honor killings around the time of Afzal's press conference, and found his story to be believable based on her research into treatment of women in that region. But for his story to be true, then she knew that meant that the women presented to the investigative team couldn't have been who they claimed to be. And so she took an image of Begum John, the woman who looked particularly nervous during the investigation, and Begum's official government ID photo.
Bro,
are you serious? This is not even close.
Bro, this is what they did. They got 4 random women to come out. They dressed them similarly, and they were like, "Yeah, is this you?" And they're like, they're like nodding, like, "Yeah."
They just painted like a freaking mole on there.
They'll kill you, your family, your mother, everybody.
They painted a mole right there.
They'll shoot your dog in the street and burn your house to the fucking ground.
And sent them both off to Digital Barriers, a company specializing in facial recognition technology, and asked them to compare the images and determine if these 2 women were actually the same person. The comparison came back at just 17%, or in other words, they weren't a match. This means that by all likelihood, this woman...
Look, they didn't even put the mole in the right spot.
Yeah, it's too high. Yeah, the mole.
Too high, bro.
The fucking mole moved. They put the mole on her face.
And what'd she do? She got a nose job in that village?
Yeah, her nose is way fatter.
The eyes, everything.
The actual
the lips
photo.
are totally different.
Eyes,
she's got a unibrow. This one has no uni. She's got a uni. She's got a uni up there. And see up there in the mountains.
Her lip is different.
Up there in the mountains,
I
gotta be quite honest with you. I don't think they're overly concerned with grooming. You know what I mean?
Oh.
They weren't a match.
Imagine that situation.
Oh fuck, man! What the fuck,
Christ,
this means that
you need a you need a machete.
By all likelihood, this woman, the woman shown to the government as proof that Begum John was alive, and who the entire village identified as Begum John, was in fact an imposter. It's a revelation that shifted the entire case. Suddenly, this once far-off conspiracy theory was proven to be at least partially true. And if someone had been impersonating Begum John, then it was more than possible that the same had been done with all the other women. And just like that, the Kohistan video conspiracy was in full effect.
There you go.
The government of Pakistan, however, wasn't convinced by the findings. In their minds, they had already investigated these claims, and they had little interest in reopening
I'm a Muslim,
the case. But Afzal persisted, and he continued doing anything he could to get this case a wider audience, and force the government to reinvestigate. He did interviews on TV, filed motions in court, and even ran for office in Kohistan. But no matter how hard he tried, hardly any progress was made, until eventually years began to pass. The agony of waiting was hell for Afzal. Despite some of the women's family members being thrown in prison for the murder of his brothers, many were still walking free, and as were all the members of that original jirga, meaning that every day represented new risks to Afzal's life, new risks to his brothers' lives, and new risks to the lives of the women in Kohistan. Since the alleged executions of those 5 women, Afzal and his supporters had discovered evidence of over 50 other honor killings
this shit's
that had
like
taken place in
Salem
that
witch
small village
trials,
over the
but in
course of just 2
2026.
years. A shockingly high number of people considering how few people actually lived in that village.
Y'all really
With
don't
these
know what
honor
happens beyond, you know,
this
Western
not
media
even roofs.
right here.
Like, how is this even livable?
I mean, here's the thing too.
This shit looks like Jerusalem back in like 500 BC,
scared
bro.
To death to do anything.
Oh hell
You're
no.
finding stuff to kill them for? Like, what do they do? What do they do? Expose a toe, their hair. They looked at somebody sideways. I mean, this is what they're just looking for shit. How do you kill 50 people in a small village, women in a small village in 2 years? That's insane, man.
Being described as common as the common cold. Every household was being affected by them, but no one dared speak about it. They were all too afraid. The jirga held all the power, and speaking out against them would be breaching the tradition that they hold so dearly. And as a result, despite all the other killings, Afzal was still really the only one from the region that had been talking with the press. And this was finally about to
genuinely
pay
rough
off.
in the third world. Bro,
in
like
2016, Afzal was featured on a Vice documentary that highlighted his story as well as the treatment of women in
I have to pause.
Kohistan.
I don't want to pause much, but one of my problems is like one of my problems would be something along the lines is, oh, I haven't buzzed in like 3 hours. I need a pouch. I need to get a new tin. That's the biggest problem I have in my life. Okay. And then over here, they're having Salem witch trials in a town that looks like it was constructed in maybe 3000 BC, bro. Like borderline Homo sapiens. Crazy shit.
At the hands of this bloodthirsty Jurga.
मैंने वो अपने भाई की इंतकाम लेने के लिए आज तक मैंने हर किस्म की कोशिश करने की पोजीशन में नहीं हूँ, लेकिन मैं कहता हूँ कि उन लोगों को कुछ न कुछ सज़ा मिल जाए, अंदर नस्लों को इस तरह की कोई तकलीफ न पहुँचे.
Ready to unlock Roblox digital gift cards?
Roblox. You know I like Roblox.
It was an extremely compelling video, showing us just how much Afzal's life had been derailed by the whole situation, as he was forced to live alone in hiding, separate from his family, including his children, wife, and 2 surviving brothers, who themselves were also living in hiding, in conditions that they described as being miserable. The story was about as harrowing as it gets, and as soon as the video released, hundreds of thousands of people would watch it, thrusting the Kohistan video case into a worldwide spotlight. And with so many eyes now on the case, and with so many people now calling for the Pakistan government to reinvestigate, they would finally relent. That same year, in November of 2016, the government called on that Jurga once more to bring these women to Abbottabad and show them in their courtroom so they could personally verify that they were still alive. And this time, they outright demanded it. Failure to comply would essentially be seen as an admission to these murders. There was no getting around it this time, and so that month, a group of 5 women and their families were all brought down from Kohistan, and one by one led into the courtroom, with the hope of bringing this case to an end, once and for all. To protect the women's honor, no photos or videos were allowed in the courtroom, meaning all we know about what happened inside comes from officials' descriptions afterwards. The first thing noted was the conduct of these women. The girls produced were observed to be extremely nervous and frightened. They were hardly able to respond to queries. They had incompatible reflexes and face expressions. In response to most of the queries, it was commonly observed that they were supplied with words from elders, especially about their ages and husbands. The girls were terrified, too terrified to speak for themselves, and instead all their answers were fed to them by accompanying elders. But the strangeness of their mannerisms pales in comparison to the strangeness of their appearances, with the most bizarre being Amina. By appearance, she was about 15 years old. Reportedly, the video was shot back in the year 2010, and it surfaced on the internet in 2012. If we subtract 6 years from Amina's age, her age at the time of the video shooting would be between 8 years or 9 years, whereas the women visible in the video looked to be aged between 20 years or 22 years, back in the year 2010. The girl that they brought to court claiming to be Amina was just a child, and based on her appearance,
she... You're not even good, man! You suck at the cover-up! You're bringing a 15-year-old girl this happened 6 years ago, dude. She was supposed to be 9?
Would have been as young as 8 years old in the video, which clearly isn't the case. I mean, these are fully grown women. And the same was true for Serene John. By appearance, she was not more than 16 years or 17 years of age.
And you know why they have the young girls? Because these are the only ones that they could really finesse. Yeah. Into even, like, you know.
Well, I mean, obviously they can't bring older women there because you can't do that. You have to get someone... And these guys are so fucking stupid.
Watch Chilling Scares.
They're going, yeah, look at the video. This video's old.
I'm pretty sure this is Chilling Scares.
And you're bringing teenage girls here. You're like, well, what about 6 years ago? Like, look at this. 16, 17. This is crazy, man. These guys, they're not even good at the conspiracy. They suck.
Meaning she would have been aged 9 years or 10 years in 2010.
Here we go.
Along with this, neither she nor her father was able to tell her birthday or her age. These girls were clearly not the women from the video.
You don't know your birthday or your age? No, yeah, that's not a red flag.
They were just acting. And while these seemed to be feeble attempts, there were other aspects that made it obvious just how desperate this Jurga was to try and pass these girls off as real. With the most upsetting coming from Amina. Now, Amina actually had her fingerprints on file with the Pakistani government
it's like
already,
5 a.m.
and so naturally they went to collect this girl's fingerprints in order to compare them. But when they attempted to do so, they came back blank. which is when the officials noticed that the tips of her fingers had been burnt off.
This is mob shit.
Yo, bro.
This is straight up and down mob shit. This is what gangsters and criminals do.
What's the point of this?
You burn and you tear up the fingers so you can't be fingerprinted. They actually did this whole big conspiracy. This poor girl, they burned her fingertips off. Mother of God. This is right. This is like mob cartel. This is like gangster shit.
And it wasn't just her thumbs. Every single finger had the tips of them scorched off.
All right, so you're gonna
bring her in there?
These look like fresh burns. These don't even look like they've healed totally yet.
On the spot, all 5 girls brought into that courtroom were determined to be imposters, victims themselves who were forced into pretending that they were the women seen in this footage. And considering the Jirga's desperation and the lengths they went through to now twice try and pass off different women as those from the video, it was clear that something awful had happened to the actual women, something that they didn't want to ever get out. And with that, almost universally, the world fell into agreement that Afzal had been telling the truth all along. But any celebration from Afzal would have been short-lived. Months later, a fire erupted in a small home in Gadar, the village where all of the women once resided.
Another ad, bro.
Who's up next?
Like, give me a break. Please. Give me a break.
Who's up next?
If you struggle with focus, this sound might change everything.
That's kind of cool, actually. That's a cool
And inside that home, 2 women and 3 children were trapped and would tragically burn to death. It was an awful tragedy, but according to the local Jirga, it wasn't an accident. As in its aftermath, they alleged that Afzal was the one responsible, claiming that he had started the fire in retaliation. This claim was complete hearsay, and there was no evidence whatsoever linking Afzal to the blaze. In fact, he wasn't living anywhere near the area at the time, but nevertheless, Afzal would be arrested.
I know Lo sees that chat saying I'm jerking
It's
off
a gut-wrenching development, and follows the trend.
Dude, then you frame someone.
They're framing this poor bastard.
Why would this guy murder a random family, bro?
These people are so desperate now. They show up with imposters. They're trying to kill the rest of his family. They're burning down homes, murdering people. They're deranged.
Of horrible misfortunes that Afzal suffered in trying to blow the whistle on this crime. But as his sentence commenced, the Kohistan video case continued making its way through the legal system until July of 2018, when the news came in. It was officially determined that Serene Jan, Begum Jan, and Baziga had all in fact been tortured and murdered by their families on order from the Jirga, with the confirmation coming as a result of confessions made from their own family members. And the entire time, the village had been working together to conceal the truth in what was described as a massive, coordinated conspiracy to cover up their crimes. Now, bizarrely, this revelation stated that the other 2 girls were actually still alive, as they weren't mentioned in any of the confessions. However, given what unfolded in court, this is universally doubted to this day, as most are in agreement that every woman shown in this video was in fact murdered 2 years after its recording, just as Afzal had claimed. It's unlike any story I can remember hearing. One video, one wholesome, lighthearted video for that matter, is responsible for 8 murders, as not only were these 5 women killed because of it, but Afzal's 3 brothers were killed as a result of him sharing it with the world, making it perhaps the deadliest video I've ever come across.
Oh wait. While Jake's in the chat, we might as well say this. We got Jake a birthday present. We're going to the...
Responsible for the deaths of 8 people, it's considered responsible for the deaths of 9. The confessions in 2018 didn't lead to any immediate convictions, but it was at least proof in the eyes of the public that these murders took place, and this was followed by Afzal finally being released from prison in early 2019, a full 1.5 years after he was unjustly arrested. But despite being free, Afzal was hardly out of the woods. Right now. The case wasn't officially over yet, and he knew that the family and the members of the Jirga were still out there. In fact, around the same time, the family members who were initially convicted of killing Afzal's brothers were mysteriously released, for reasons that weren't specified. and they were likely now more angry than ever.
Thank you.
And so after being released from prison, Afzal went to a local police station to request police protection, something that the court had already granted him. But in response, the officers said no. And when he tried pressing the matter, Afzal claims that the officers became so enraged that they dragged him inside a small room and beat him. Between Afzal being arrested and now this, it almost felt as though the government and the police were now against him, which could be due to the fact that Afzal had been very public with how inadequate and downright
Yo, thank you for the 25 gifted subs.
Holy smokes, who's doing that?
What's up?
Love you, brother.
Love you gifted subs though.
Wait, hold on, Chad. I'll move the camera.
Damn.
अभी तक पुलिस और जितना मेरे साथ जो रवैया किया है ऐसे रवैया जानवरों के साथ नहीं किया जा रहा हमारे जान इतने खतरे में है.
And with nowhere left to turn, Afzal would post a video to his social media declaring that his life was in danger.
मेरा नाम अफजल कोहिस्तानी है और मैं 2012 से यही पुलिस की जिद में मैं जलील हो रहा हूँ. एक जवान था उसने ऐसी हालत मेरी की है कि और बहुत सबसे उठ के मुझे मारा है उसने. जिसके साथ करे मेरे खिलाफ करे किसी और के खिलाफ करे मैं इस नाइंसाफी के खिलाफ चाहे मेरे खिलाफ कुछ भी करे.
Days later, on March 6th, 2019, Afzal arrived in Abbottabad to testify in the Kohistan trial, though he never made it into the courtroom. As he sat in the back of an unmarked truck waiting to enter, suddenly, the vehicle was struck by multiple bullets. Paramedics would open the door minutes later, only to find Afzal laying in a pool of blood.
Of course.
He would never make it to the hospital.
Fucking whacked them out. They whacked them.
In Pakistan, the man who led a campaign to expose one of the country's most notorious so-called honor killings has been shot dead in the city of Abbottabad.
Wow.
You fucking serious, bro?
Jesus
he died?
Christ.
Are you fucking serious?
They finally got him.
This is mobland. This is fucking mobland. Woo! No joke, bro.
He should have fled.
1,000 bullets. He should have freaking
freaking
house.
But you know what? He's trying. What he was
they
trying
were
to
gonna
do
get him.
was he was trying to honor his family.
Bro,
The guy was a true believer.
These guys are dealing with like Iron Man and
got
shit,
his brains blown out.
Notorious so-called honor killings has been shot dead in the city of Abbottabad.
Eve to me is basically freedom. It's a giant open universe where you can do whatever you want.
World, his relentless pursuit of justice, and his will so many throughout the world, and he had come so close to seeing justice served, as only a few months later, 3 men were arrested and sentenced to life in prison for the Kohistan murders, each being members of the girls' families, along with one other, a man named Masoom Khan, a member of the Jirga who was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Afzal. But even with this, people were angry. They were angry with the government for not taking Afzal's word more seriously. They were angry with the police who failed to protect Afzal and seemed to be actively working against him. And they were also angry at a rather unexpected source. The Vice documentary made back in 2016 was undoubtedly part of what put this case back on the map and back in the court system, but right from its release, it garnered criticism for something that the showrunners had seemingly overlooked, with one commenter pointing it out. Wait, hold on a minute. Isn't it dangerous to expose his whereabouts like this? In the footage used, the crew seemingly showed the outside of the hideout where Afzal had been living, as well as where his family had been hiding. And in response to Afzal's death, many were quick to blame the documentary. You people had literally shot his location and his family's location. Damn, you killed him. By disclosing his hideout, Afzal Kohistani was killed by his enemies. This is really shameful and against the ethics of journalism. Why would you show Afzal and his family's hiding place? And while it may seem a little extreme to blame a documentary made 3 years before his murder, it's given a bit more weight by the fact that Vice had actually re-uploaded the documentary to their Vice Asia channel at the end of 2018, where it went completely viral, gaining more viewership than even the original upload. Months later, Afzal would be killed. And to this day, many still believe that Vice played an unintentional role in it. But again, this is just public speculation.
Yep,
and at
anything for the clicks, huh, right?
the end of the day, it was really on the police and the government of Pakistan to protect him, and they failed.
Nice, bro.
It's a heartbreaking end to a heartbreaking story, and follows this trend of misfortune that Afzal dealt with throughout his life.
This is why sometimes you can't be the hero.
That trend continued even after his death.
Sometimes you can't be the hero, bro.
Devastatingly,
sometimes it's
the
better
3
to
men arrested
to
for the
stay
murders
quiet,
of these
unfortunately.
women would be unexpectedly released from
This
prison
higher
in
power,
2023.
They walked.
In the pyramid scheme and shit. Bro.
Yeah, nice, man.
Set aside conviction.
This world's a joke, bro.
only 4 short years after their initial arrest. A farce was just as upsetting, as the government cited a lack of evidence of the body being convicted, and yet they're suddenly to the killings, and they even discussed how they disposed of the bodies afterwards. And yet there's suddenly all of the death in this video. The murders of Afzal's brothers, the murders of these 5 women, and the murder of Afzal himself. Only one man is currently in prison.